Okay, here I am looking again at some poker chips laid out. Um, we're going to be looking at the key of C major because I believe that the key of C major is a good example and has a lot of good um, kind of theory lessons and laws that kind of carry over across all major keys that we will be applying to all the other major keys as well. For that reason, we're going to use C major as kind of our example key to figure out the system and understand the relationships between what the scale means and what the chords mean within the keys. Okay, so we have it laid out here. We have all our notes. The white chips, poker chips. These are just plastic poker chips. They represent the white keys or the natural notes, the unsharped or unflatted notes of the piano keyboard. And the blue chips represent black keys or sharps and flats across the spectrum there. So starting at the bottom, we have a C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, or B. Respectively, we can call these by their flat names as well, starting with B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, and C. Okay, so we know that to build a C major scale from all 12 notes, there's a pattern that we use called a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And it's fairly easy to see across C major because the half steps fall between the two notes that don't have a black key between them. So between E and F is a half step, and between the B and the C up here would be another half step. So taking our pattern, we have a half step to C sharp and a half step from C sharp to D. It was a whole step from C to D. One whole. Whole. Here's our half step from E to F. You have another whole step, F to G. Whole step. Whole step. And then a half step would be from B to C up here to the octave. For now, we're going to leave the C down here at this end. So this is our C major scale, and that's the pattern that falls across every key depending on which note you start with. So we're left with the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Also coming down, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Now, how do we arrive at our major triads? Well, they're simply alternating notes of the major scale. So, our first degree is C, our second degree is D, our third degree is E, our fourth degree is F, our fifth degree is G, our sixth is A, and our seventh is B, respective to C. Okay? So if someone asks you what's the fifth note of C, you would answer C, D, E, F. G is the fifth of C. F is the fourth, A is the sixth, and so forth. B is the seventh, D is the 2, E is 3. Okay? So to reach our triads, we simply choose the notes of the scale that you skip one. So it's C, skip the D, E, and G is your first triad. Now, someone once asked me, how do you know whether that's a major triad or a minor triad? Well, you simply count the half steps between them. So between C and E, if you have C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E. Let's say this is C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E. You can count the half steps. There's one here, 2, 3, and 4 half steps between C and E. 1, 2, 3, 4. That means that that interval is a major third. So we know from C to E has 4 half steps between them. And from E to G, you lay it out, E, F, F sharp, and G. E, F, F sharp, and G, you have 1 half step here, 2 half steps here, and 3 here. So there's only 3 half steps between E and G. So you know that E to G is a minor third. 1, 2, 3. So when we're looking at this, we know that C to E, from C to E has 4 half steps, and from E to G has only 3. And that 4-3 pattern is what designates it as a major third, a major triad. So anytime you have 4 half steps between these two and 3 between the second two, it's a major. That's something we need to memorize. Okay? So for our second degree, we have D, F, and A. Now, how do we know if the second degree is major or minor? Well, we lay it out. D, D sharp, E, and F. Because it's D and F, so D, D sharp, E, F. You're looking at 1 half step, 2 half steps, 3 half steps. So there's 3 between D and F, which is the first 2. There's 3 there. Now, the second 2, between F and A, you have F, F sharp, A, F sharp, G, G sharp, and A. F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. How many half steps? We count 1, 2, 3, and 4. So between the second note, F, and A, there was 4 half steps, which means that there were 3 on the bottom. Between D and F was 3, and between F and A is 4. And any time that we have 3 on the bottom and 4 on the top, the triad is a minor triad. So we know that D, F, A, the second degree of C, is minor. The same goes for E, G, and B. Again, we count the intervals. E, F, F sharp, G. E, F, F sharp, and G is 1, 2, 3 half steps. So there's 3 half steps between E and G. Alternatively, between G and B, we have G, G, G sharp, A sharp, and B. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps between G and B. So that means that there are 3 here and 4 here, which makes E minor triad. Moving up to our 4 chord, we have F, A, and C. Well, counting from F to A, we have F, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 here. And between A and C, you have A sharp, B, C. A sharp, B, and C has 1, 2, 3 half steps. So this is a 4 and then a 3, which makes it a major. The same as the 1 chord, the same as your C major. So FAC is major like CEG, but it's the 4th degree, FAC. Moving on to the 5th, you have G, B, and D. Between G and B, G, G sharp, A sharp, and B. G, G sharp, A sharp, B. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 half steps between G and B. How many between B and D? You have B, C, C sharp, B, C, C sharp, and D. You can count 1, 2, 3. So that's a 4, 3 pattern, which makes it a major, G major. Our 6th degree is A, C, and E. So between A and C, you have A sharp, B, and C. A sharp, B, C. That's 1, 2, 3 half steps on the bottom. Between C and E, you have C, C sharp, D. You have a D sharp here, and E. Count 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps. So we know that there's a 3 between A and C, and a 4 between C and E, which means that's a minor triad. Finally, the 7th degree is B, D, and F. Between B and D, we have B, C, C sharp, D, 1, 2, 3. So we know that that's 3 from B to D is 3 half steps. And between D and F, we have D, D sharp, E, and F. But notice something different about this one. This only has 3. 1, 2, and 3. So we know that because there's 3 half steps between B and D and 3 between D and F, that the triad BDF is called diminished, which means that it has only minor thirds, or 3 half steps between each interval in the chord. So we know that our 7th degree of any major scale is going to be a diminished chord. Again, our 1 degree is major, our 2 degree is minor, our 3 degree is exactly the same as 2, is minor, our 4 is major, our 5 is major, our 6 is minor, and our 7 is diminished. And it can be, as you can see, as you saw. So if we're going to build chords again on top of each scale note, we have C, E, G. That's our triad. And what we're going to do is add the 7th chord, which adds the 7th note of the scale to the top. We're going to add an extension. So C, E, G, and B, which is these 4 notes, C, E, G, and we're adding a B. Now, what that means is that the chord has an extra quality when you add a 7th note. So we know that from C to E was 4 half steps, from E to G was 3 half steps. Now we need to know how many are from G to B. Well, let's count. G, G sharp, A sharp, and B. So from G to B, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 half steps. So we know that there's 4 half steps between G and B. Now, we know that there was 4 here from C to E, 3 from E to G, and 4 from G to B. That gives us 4, 3, and 4. Now that pattern of 4, 3, and 4 half steps designates this chord as a major 7th chord. That means that we're using a major 7 on the extension. That's the name of it. So this is a C major 7. Moving to the second chord, the D, F, A, and C, D, F, A, C. Well, we know that from D to F was 3, from F to A is 4, but how many are from A to C? Well, let's count. A sharp, B, and C. 1, 2, 3. So we know that there are 3 half steps between A and C. So that changes the quality of the chord. So we know there was 3 here, 4 here, and only 3 here. So 3, 4, and 3 designates the quality of the D chord as a minor 7 chord. So we know that the second degree of a major scale is a minor 7th. D, F, A, and C. The third degree, the E, we have E, G, B, and D. Now we know that the triad has the same quality as the 2 chord, so we know we're dealing with a minor triad, so we know that this has 3 and 4 half steps between them. So between what we really are investigating now is between the last extension, between the 7th and the 5th. So we have E, G, B, and D. So between B and D, we have B, C, C sharp, and D. 1, 2, 3 half steps. So again, we have 3 half steps here, 3 half steps here, and 4 here. So it's exactly the same as the 2 chord with 3, 4, and 3. So the 3, again, is also a minor 7th chord. So on the third degree of a major scale, in this example, on the E, we have an E minor 7th, just like the 2 chord, which was a D minor 7th, and the 1 chord was a 1 major 7th. So major 7th, minor 7th, minor 7th. On to the fourth degree. F, A, C, and E. You have F, A, C, and E. Now we know that the 4 chord, the triad, is major. So between F and A was 4. A and C has 3 half steps. And between C and E has C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E as 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps. So again, we're back to 4, 3, 4, which resembles the pattern of the first chord, which means that this F chord is an F major 7th on the 4 of C. The 5 is G, B, D, and F. We know that between G and B was 4. Between B and D is 3. But how many between D and F? We have D, D sharp, E, and F. D, count up, D, D sharp, E, F. How many half steps? We count 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 half steps here, 3 half steps here, and 4 here. Now anytime we have 4 on the bottom and 3, it's a major triad, but when we only have 3 half steps between the 5th and the 7th, that gives us the dominant 7. So here we just have a G dominant 7th, or a G7, G, B, D, and F. In order to have a G major 7, you would have to bring an F sharp to have 4 half steps between the D and the F sharp. Since we only have 3, it's flatted. So we have a dominant 7 chord. So your 5 chord of every major key is going to have the dominant 7. Back to our 6th degree. A, C, E, and G. Again, you have the minor 3rd at the bottom, 3 half steps here between A and C, 4 between C and E, and then between E and G, you have E, F, F sharp, and G. E, F, F sharp, G. 1, 2, and 3, which gives us a pattern of 3, 4, and 3, which is exactly the same pattern as the 2 chord and the 3 chord, which were both minor 7ths. So we know that the 6th degree, A, C, E, G, is an A minor 7th chord. What's going on? Okay. And then our 7th chord was B, D, F, and A. Would be B, D, F, and A. Now we know that this was a diminished triad. Between B and D was 3. Between D and F was only 3 half steps. Now we have an A. So from F to A is F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and A. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps between F and A. So that's going to change the quality of the B chord to a B minor 7 with a flat 5. Or alternatively, you can call this half diminished, because there are 3 half steps here, 3 half steps here, and 4 here. If they were all half steps, you would call this fully diminished. But since there is a 7th that has 4 half steps, or major 3rd between F and A, that makes this a minor 7 flat 5, or a half diminished. So those are your scale chords, your 7th chords, and the reason they are the chord quality that they are designated as. And this will hold true for all major keys. You're going to have a major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, a dominant 7, a minor 7, and a minor 7 flat 5. Now we can talk about the inversions of these chords. You have C, E, G, and B, the 1, 3, 5, 7. You can take your 1, the C, and move it up here, where you have your 3rd E, your 5th G, your 7th B, and your root C in first inversion. And your second inversion has the 5th in as the root. So you have your 5th G, your 7th B, your 1 C, and your 3 E. And then finally you have the 7th in the root, B, C, E, and G. And G, E, C, B. Move the fifth back down in its place. You have the third on top, E, the root C, the seventh B, and the fifth G. You have the root C, the seventh B, the fifth G, and the third E. And back to root position, which is the seventh B, the fifth G, the third E, and the first C. For your C major 7. Your D minor 7 is D, F, A, C. You move your D up. You have F, A, C, D. A, C, D, F. And C, D, F, A. Starting with the fifth coming down, we have A, F, D, C. F, D, C, A. D, C, F, A, F. D, C, A, F. And C, A, F, D. Your D minor 7. Your E minor 7 is E, G, B, D. You take your root E up here and you're left with the third, G, B, D, E. With the third up, you have the fifth, B, D, E, G. We have D, E, G, B. We have the fifth, B, G, E, D. The third, G, E, D, B. The root, E, D, B, G. Root position, we have D, B, G, E. For the F major 7, F, A, C, E. We have A, C, E, F. C, E, F, A. And E, F, A, C. We have C, A, F, E. A, F, E, C. F, C, I'm sorry, F, E, F, E, C, A. And E, C, A, F. E, C, A, F. We have G, B, D, F. D, B, F, G. D, F, G, B. And F, G, B, D. We have D, B, G, F. B, G, F, D. G, F, D, B. And F, D, B, G. Here we have A, C, E, G. C, E, G, A. E, G, A, C. And G, A, C, E. Or E, C, A, G. C, A, G, E. A, G, E, C. And G, E, C, A. And we have B, D, F, A. D, F, A, B. F, A, B, D. And A, B, D, F. We have F, D, B, A. D, B, F, A. I'm sorry, A, F. B, A, F, D. And finally, A, F, D, B. For your B minor 7 flat 5. And those are the chords of C major. You can use those You can use these patterns to across all the major keys, and it should help with remembering the theory.